the Extreme Fantasy Sports Network presents the Around the XFF podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Around the XFF podcast. I'm Chargers Chris, and I'm here with Tampa Bay Adam. Adam, how you doing?
I'm good, Chris.
All right, so we're looking at the power rankings. We've got the ones on the site pulled up, and we're looking at Colts Joey's. We're going to talk about this for a second, then we're going to go through and highlight some matchups for Week 2. Adam, what's jumping out to you when you look at this?
So, some very important games in Week 2. I am seeing AFC North and NFC South. Some good quality matchups this week. And if in those divisions, if you fall 0-2, it kind of sucks because after 2 weeks, you're probably looking at just trying to get a wild card spot. 2 weeks, may not kill you. We're gonna play the teams again, so. But you don't want to be 0-2 in those divisions.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't sound like a lot, but those two divisions are probably the tightest divisions in the league.
So that Baltimore-Cincinnati, if Baltimore falls 0-2, he's chasing Cincinnati. Lynn, Cleveland Browns had a good week. So that's a big matchup, and as well as that Tampa-Carolina game. I mean, Carolina was high up there in those power rankings. Shout out to Indy. But if he falls 0-2 to Reggie, fire sale maybe? I don't know. But
yeah. And
that's why you got to look yourself in the mirror and figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, shout out to Lynn. We heard him on John and Jay's podcast this past weekend, and he's definitely put a lot of work into that team. He's definitely made some improvements. He's around a lot more. But if you look at the power rankings on the site, I mean, the site has him 4th in the power rankings, but he had a 90% efficiency with his starts and put up 307 points. So I think he's still going to be having quite a tough time in that division. If you look at Reggie's team, man, Reggie's probably the best team in the XFF.
He has one of the best rosters I've
absolutely
ever seen in this league. I mean,
his efficiency was 70%, and he put up 337. It's his possible points are 478. I mean,
yeah.
Who knows how much of that was fluke, and he's going to have to take a look and dive into that and figure out, if he wants to change his starts to sits. It's only been 1 week, but I mean, that 478 possible points is outrageous. And as the weeks go by, if he can kind of figure out, who his starts and who his sits are, his average score is going to be pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, a high quality depth team is good, but it can also hamstring you. I mean, you come to the playoffs and you pick 2 or 3 wrong guys to start because you have such a good quality team.
Yeah,
then you're bounced. I mean,
that's.
So for a guy like Lynn,
decisions
a guy like Lynn. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, the start and sit decisions for someone like Reggie, if he gets in his head too much or, tries to play the matchups too hard, I mean, you can definitely wind up falling into traps that way. Whereas if you're more of a studs and duds, well, you start your studs and you don't worry about it till you have to.
Right, and you try to scrape by through bye weeks with waiver wire pickups and maybe make a trade here or there, but you know who your starters are, you know what you're going to get. So I think that's been Reggie's problem for the past few years. I mean, he's had a good roster every year, and he just hasn't quite got over the hump. I mean, I'm putting all my money on Reggie to win it all this year.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I've got Reggie to win against the Panthers this week. Between talking about that NFC South division, you and the Saints this week, who you got in that matchup?
Oh, boy. Obviously, I got to take myself, but the Saints have, they're just like right behind Reggie's roster. They're so good. They're so deep. He's got Josh Allen for his quarterback. He's got Garrett Wilson, so may not be as great as he would be with Rodgers, but Duke can make some plays. Great defensive ends and Burns and Garrett. Stud linebackers. He's starting 4 linebackers. The best probably safety duo combo in the league, and Buda and Derwin. So
Yeah,
it's a tough matchup. I got a lot of young guys, rookies outside of my, I guess, older receivers and Keenan Allen and Odell Beckham. But yeah,
I see he's got Deontay Johnson out for possibly some extended time, but he's sitting on Puka Nacua.
Yeah, right now, obviously it's only Wednesday. People probably haven't set their lineup yet, but right now he still has Deion Jackson in the game as a starter, so that'll be. See, if I look for him to probably sub him out, maybe with Gus Edwards, that'd be a good sub, I think.
Yeah. So circling back to the AFC North that you highlighted, who do you have in those matchups?
I gotta take Cam and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I've got Cam down too.
Again, he has. When we go over this, when you show people how to access this potential points and stuff, it's something that I haven't used ever yet on this site, so I'm gonna follow along with you. But I'm interested to see what his was, because he always has a deep roster every year. But again, he's kind of like Reggie, and he can never get there.
Right, never get that perfect roster week to week set. Yeah, I think this might be his year, but we've said that before. With the Steelers and the Browns, I think the Steelers take it. Again, major props to Lynn for his increased activity, and you're starting to see the results of that. But yeah, I don't think there's a huge improvement there to be had for him in his scoring, and I think the Steelers are just going to take it.
I'm actually going to pick Lynn on that one.
Okay.
I think he has a solid. He's going to see the high 200s every week until we hit bye weeks. I mean, he's got a solid starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Waddle, Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Rashad White, AR. So it's, Pittsburgh is good too. But I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna ride with Cleveland Lynn.
Nice. So one of the divisions I wanted to draw attention to this week is the AFC East. The Bills face off with the Dolphins, and the Patriots face off with the Jets. We've only got 1 week in the books, but I think this division might be a little tighter than it looked at the outset of the year. The Dolphins lost last week. The Bills won. The Patriots had a major snafu. We don't need to rehash that, but they lost last week. And I don't know. I'm looking at their possible points and getting that maximum lineup and how much room for improvement is there for each of these teams. And I think it's going to be tighter than it was last year. I hope it's going to be tighter than it was last year. I'm going to take the Jets over the Patriots in this matchup. But I think the Bills have a decent chance against Jay this week. And it'd be a tough start for Jay if he started 0-2.
Yeah, like we've been talking, it's only 2 weeks, but when your league is only 14 weeks, yeah, it's kind of do or die, especially week 3, double hitter week 3. So
yeah.
But I am going to. I'm going to take the Patriots. As long as he gets the correct quarterback in the lineup, he still has Dorian Thompson-Robinson in there.
Mm,
And as far as the Bills and Dolphins, I am going to go. I think I'm going to take the Bills.
nice. And another division, the NFC North. I think behind the Bears, I think the Bears are the best team in the division. But behind the Bears, I think it might be a little tighter this year than last. That Green Bay Vikings game, I'm going to be watching closely this week. Green Bay had a possible max of 393, and the Vikings had a possible max of 308, which, I mean, that's close. I think they're both going to have to go through and look at their rosters and their matchups and figure out who they want to start. But I'm going to be watching that one quite closely.
Yeah, Green Bay's got the stud wide receivers. I'm going to take Green Bay in that one, honestly. I think a lot of his guys underperformed this week. Week 1, offense is struggling. But I think Green Bay can get it done.
Yeah, if Goddard gets on the move and Pickens gets some more points up on the board, he definitely could. I think just for fun, I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one.
All right.
You know, I've got the Bears over the Lions. You with the Bears?
I am with the Bears. Yep. He's got some great running backs and just really a stud offense all around. Chubb, Pollard, A.J. Brown, Pittman, Hawkinson. So that's kind of hard to beat.
Yep. All right. So we wanted to bring in a guest before we talked about the next matchup. Well, while we wait on Chip to join, I'm going to run through what we've been hinting at about the possible points and the start sit. If you go to scores at the top of MFL as you're looking at our league, and you go to weekly results,
Yep.
it'll give you the rundown, you know, the scores for the week. But if you go through the individual matchups there, it'll have a red arrow besides certain players that were outperformed by players on your bench, and then it will have green arrows by the players on the bench. And you'll have your starter total, what you actually scored versus your potential points and your efficiency. And what that can do for you is obviously draw attention to the bench players that outscored your starters, but you can use that as a starting point to investigate further. So, you know, especially on the IDP side, a lot of times you'll be wondering, okay, well, did somebody get hurt in the game? Did a guy that I thought had a starting role locked down not actually play as many snaps as I thought? And so from there, I will go to Football Guys and just search Football Guys snap counts. And you can go there and look at the snap counts for every player on every team by position. And it's a jumping off point for you to do the research to see if you want to start some of those bench guys next week, or at least, you know, it's a piece of information so you can make a more informed decision instead of just chasing last week's points. You know, you can decide, okay, well, that was a fluke. I'm going to wait another week before I start that guy. I'm going to check the snap counts again next week. And yeah, it's just a good way to track and serve as a start for comparison.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I've been in the league since year 2 minus last year, and this is a tool that I have never used. I mean, obviously I go and use snap counts and and all that, but I haven't used this on the MFL site. It makes it a lot easier versus just going through your own roster and doing it yourself. Everything's done right here, and you can see every roster. So thank you for sharing that. And
absolutely. I mean, it's a good place too to come and look for trade targets on other teams in your conference. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can use it for.
Is Chip ready to join us?
I sent him the link. It says he's on Slack. I'm waiting to see if he replies.
Okay. Well, until then, I'm going to highlight a couple NFL games that I think could have a big fantasy impact this week.
Okay.
Vikings and Eagles, tomorrow night's game. Can Slay shut down Justin Jefferson? That could be a big game in that Atlanta matchup for XFF. Also Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah. Be real curious to see how Jordan Addison does tomorrow night. If Justin Jefferson is, you know, what kind of effect does Slay on Jefferson have for Addison? And yeah, the Raven Bengals, man, the Bengals need to bounce back bad.
Yeah, they look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. With the talent they have, that's just crazy.
Chiefs, Jags. Is Christian Kirk going to get more than one reception?
What happened? I saw a snap count was down. What? Did he get injured?
I don't think he was injured. He just didn't get targeted. Yeah. Okay, well, he caught one of 3 targets for 9 yards. Yeah, he just didn't go to him. Niners Rams. Are the Rams going to be able to do anything close to what they did last week? I don't know. A lot of guys going out and blowing a lot on waivers for those Rams receivers if they're available. I saw in was it? Yeah, the Rams in our league claimed Tutu Atwell off the Vikings, as well as Derek Barnes off the Vikings, or off the Saints rather. Yeah, the Rams claimed Atwell and Barnes this week with taxi claims.
Yeah, there's quite a few on the NFC. Vikings claimed quarterback for me, but it hasn't gone through yet because I think he's using 2025 picks. So I don't know if he's gonna pay or because he's got to pay to use the 2025 picks. So not sure if that's gonna go through or not.
Eagles came after Cam Sample. I'm curious what Cam Sample is going to do this year. I had him and Osai, I want to say, on taxi for a couple years. He's just waiting. And then I think Osai had some kind of health issue to start, so I dropped them both. And to see Sample do something this week was a little frustrating. All right, we got Chip with us.
All right.
How you doing, Chip?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good, thanks.
Hi, Chip.
How's it going?
Good. So you are the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is year 1 for you?
Yeah. Just took over earlier this year.
How did you hear about it? How did you get in the league?
I play in a couple other leagues with a couple of the other guys. I'm in TDL with some of the people here, TSL, and then a Battle of the Bands with some of the others as well.
Awesome. So how does this league through 1 week plus the off season compare to those other leagues? Would you rank it your favorite league, or maybe I guess describe in your opinion the talent of the owners in this league?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's definitely one of the most active leagues that I'm in, so that's awesome. That's exactly what you look for in like these, bigger leagues. You don't want your league to fizzle out and then you're stuck with these huge rosters, and you want to be able to talk to people and have them actually answer quickly and for trades and work them that way versus chasing people down. And everyone seems pretty responsive, especially now that we're in the season. I like the trade back and forth that I've seen so far. Made a couple, so that's always fun. That's why I'm here. I want to turn Jacksonville around and make it a competitor. So
Yeah, I'm not sure. Chris, you've been in the league since year 1, right?
Yeah.
I don't ever remember the Jaguars making the playoffs.
No, they've been kind of a wreck the whole. Well, JVIC did some good things, but no, I mean up till now, up till Chip, JVIC was probably the best owner the Jags ever had. Early on, gosh, there was some crazy owner. I don't even think made it through the first year. Maybe he did, and then we had another guy come in and he got like 15 safeties or something, and he came on a show, was talking about positional scarcity, and people were laughing at him, and he's like, you just wait till you need a safety. I don't think that guy finished the year either. There's been some crazy owners for Jacksonville for sure.
Well, hopefully Chip is here to stay.
that's the plan. Yeah, and I know Jay Vick as well. We used to work together, so it's a similar mind fantasy wise. So
yeah, JVIC did some good stuff.
Yeah.
Sad to
Love
see
that guy.
leave a lot of leagues.
Yeah, he's really cutting it down.
Yeah.
So I'm looking over your roster, and you got some good young talent. I guess what are your expectations this year and moving forward, and how do you plan to get this Jacksonville Jaguars team to the playoffs in the coming years?
I think the team as it stands right now is playoff, contender. I'm not going to say we're going to roll into the playoffs and dominate with the way it's set up right now, but I expect to be in the conversation. In the when we come in later into the season. I think the week 1 score, I don't think it's entirely indicative of what my team can do. I know it went down as a loss, but it was only by a few points. I don't think anyone starting Joe Burrow expects him to only get 8 points, or starting J.K. Dobbins and expects him to get hurt, or T. Higgins to score 0. So when you look at those things, I think it's I was expecting at least 50, 60 more points from there, and I think I have plenty of depth to make up for those if I need to move those out. So with J.K. Dobbins, going out, I have the younger, fresher Cook ready to drop into his spot in the starting lineup. So I don't see any drop off there, and I don't expect T. Higgins going into a contract season to keep putting up zeros. And I don't think Joe Burrow will be not living up to his money for much longer on the offensive side. Defensive side is probably where the team needs the most work, and where I tried to really address most of it in the offseason. Like you said, there's a lot of young guys on the team. A lot of that is on the offensive side. So I inherited the team with no linebackers, so that was interesting. Had to pick up some slack there. I feel like we made some moves that's more of a strength now, but I think some big defensive playmakers is what's going to put the team over the top. So that's what I foresee myself targeting in trades or in future draft, etc.
Yeah, I think you've got definitely some defensive depth here.
That's a good plan, Chip. I'm I always tend to lean towards defense because we start a lot more defensive players and than offense, obviously. So I just think without a top-ranked defense in the league, you're not going to win.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's I can only work off of so much what I inherited, but yeah, that's one of the first things I looked at when I looked at like the scoring and the lineups. It's okay, well, this defense definitely is what needs to be fixed. I think I have some decent pieces in there, like drafting Jordan Davis. I think we saw week one what he can do, and defensive tackle. If you're scoring, some big points there, that's a huge game changer, especially when what we're starting on defense. Josh Allen, I have him locked up for the foreseeable future. Had a huge game week one. So those are all things that, looking to improve on. Defensive end, I have the Seattle guy that was the number one defensive end, traded for him in the offseason. Looking, some points there. Drew Sanders, if that works out in Denver, I think that's a cornerstone guy as well. I'm pretty high on him personally.
Yeah, in your matchup this week, I'm picking you over the Colts.
Yeah, I obviously I am too, but yeah, I think it's a matchup that I can win for sure.
Yeah.
So who do you think wins that division, Chip?
I mean, I might be kind of biased here, but I think I have a shot at winning it for sure. It'll be a competitive one, especially towards the top. But I think it'll probably come down to probably me and the Colts is what I would expect. Houston definitely, is going to have something to say about that. I kind of wish I would have made up those extra 6 points to get that week one division matchup. But I don't think, it's nice that it's not a full four-way run with the fire sale that went on in Tennessee.
Well, stat corrections are to come tomorrow, so I guess I've definitely seen 6 points made up before.
Yeah, definitely possible. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Awesome. Do you have any questions? I got like one or two more questions. You got any questions for him, Chris?
No, nothing specific. No.
Okay. I guess who do you think, Chip? You seem like you're going over rosters quite a bit. Who do you have in the title game this year for AFC NFC championship game?
It's a kind of tricky one to call because I don't know how some of these owners are going to make moves that could definitely like change their rosters. If somebody after these doubleheaders starts out less than stellar, and they're selling some big name players to guys who started out better than they thought, that could change a lot of things. But there's trying to think who really I mean, Atlanta, I liked what they started this week. I think the AFC North was looking really solid as well, so I could see someone coming out of there in the title game for sure. NFC wise, I don't have the rosters up in front of me, but I'm trying to remember. I remember
Atlanta's the favorite in the NFC.
Yeah, that's who I remember being pretty impressed with that one. And so that's probably who I would guess.
Yeah. Once this show is posted to the site, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the beginning because Chris showed us some great nuggets on the website on how to see like your potential points and like who underperformed and who you could have and should have subbed in, and then from there go to snap counts and all that. So I would encourage you to listen back.
I definitely will.
Maybe it's something you already know, but I wasn't using that feature, but now I'm going to.
Never hurts to get some tips, even if you already know them. A little refresher never hurts.
Chris, you got anything?
No, I think that's a good place to end.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Chip.
Anytime you guys want to talk to the Jaguars, let me know. I'm always here as
awesome.
I'm in a couple leagues with Chris, so he knows I'm a very outspoken guy, so I don't mind talking. But thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Good to hear you.
Later, guys.
Yep. See ya.
Later. All right, man. I think that wraps it up.
Week 2 in the books. See you
Okay.
next week, Chris.
Yeah, I'll catch you then.
Peace out, XFF.
Later, XFF.